We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
Good afternoon. This is Tony Rogers, your host for Urbanology, the Art of War. I hope everyone is enjoying the day, and if you are listening and hearing me, you are blessed, because that means so far today you made the cut. Sometimes, and many times, people are not able to say that, unfortunately. So we should be blessed that we are here. Sometimes getting up is really not given the importance that it is. But nevertheless, I'm glad to talk to whoever is out there, and wishing you a good day as we start to end this July day. I used to think summer as a youth would last for so long, but now we're almost in August, and it's almost over. Nevertheless, the best part is coming, Harlem Week, and many of the outdoor Harlem events are going to take place. We'll talk a little bit about them towards the end of the show. But for now, this is the second Tuesday of the month, and I'm always very happy to share the Urbanology Show with Charlene De La Cruz, the director of the CU Grow program at Columbia University. And that's only a very small part of what Charlene does. Charlene has been with, I don't remember how many years it's been. I know I was surprised. How many years have you been with me?
So I've been with Columbia now, Tony, for 3
I can't. Your mic may be low, because I can't really hear you as well as I should.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you better, but it's not good.
How about now?
Now is better. Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. So we've been working together. I've been in Columbia here for 3 years. I'm going on to 4 in November. So we've been working on this for 3 years now.
Wow.
Collaborating with Tanya, and then I've been your co-host now for over a year. But it's been really exciting, having the opportunity to highlight new vendors from the program, and also source vendors from the program, giving other opportunities to the Harlem community about the CU Grow program, and, other resources that they can actually take part of.
Which is how we started this many years ago, when actually the empowerment zone, not the empowerment zone, even though the empowerment zone was something that allowed for a number of us to understand the importance of technology. But uh, when we started dealing with the MWBE program and the reality of it, when Governor Cuomo came in and we saw that it was real, one of the private organizations, educational organizations in the New York City area was Columbia University. And they were doing a lot of work dealing with MWBEs, and because they got a lot of work that's going on there, so they needed to make sure that they did the right thing. And that's how we started with this show, which was a number of years ago with little Verna Fountain, who was the vice president, and then Tanya, and of course now my dear Charlene De La Cruz, who I can't say enough about you, young lady. But
We appreciate it, Tony. But you're also
she's in the middle of a major tri-state. Is it a national or tri-state?
with the national conference.
She's in the middle of a national conference that they're hosting, and she was taking time to run out and do part of the show. So I'm going to let you, because I know you have to run it at 4:30, and hopefully I have another friend coming in at 4:30, Robert Eilets, who is a wonderful photographer, and we're going to talk a little bit about his work. But for now, Charlene, with the little time that you have, please tell us about what you're doing and what you will be doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always happy to join you, and I definitely don't want to leave you high and dry. We made a commitment to be here, so we're always happy to be here and join you and connect with the Harlem community to share some resources. So I will give you an update that for the See You Grow program, we're actually on a summer break. So a lot of the firms are really catching up on their assignments. Taking the summer break that we have just so that they can catch up with the program or if anything else that they're doing, because summer is really our busy season for construction. There's a lot of renovations for summer dorm rooms. So that's really a busy season for us. So that's one of the reasons why we have that on break. But really for the See You Go program, as you know, it's going full gear. We're up to our fifth coaching session when we come up in August. But I've been working with Tanya on the Ascend Regional program, which we're very excited that we're coming to the end of this cohort in September. Time flew by. We talked about this in March 2021, and look at us now. We're almost coming to an end, and we've still been staying strong with 22 firms, and we've just been building an ecosystem very strong to develop their contracting opportunities. And we've now joined a new partnership with Ascend New York City, which is a component of the Ascend Cities. So something to just to give you a little debrief, we are kind of like part of this huge umbrella called Ascend City that is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase. And their goal is really to give $1 billion in contracting to minority-owned businesses. So their efforts to do that is by collaborating with different cohorts throughout the United States. There's a significant amount of different cities that are coming today to New York and have a national conference. We're going to learn about best practices. We're going to learn how other people are doing things in other parts of the city. And within those two cities, we have two partnerships. So we have the Ascend Regional Program, and we also have the Ascend New York City that works with more like Manhattan, Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, some Westchester. And then the regional program works with New York, New Jersey, and Long Island. So we've been keeping very busy, but I'm very excited that I have the access to work with different vendors from these three paths of program.
And to kind of break it down so that I can understand it, Ascend is a program or project that has been sponsored by JP Morgan, and the major task is to provide work, employment, job, I should say, business opportunities for, and if you, the business opportunities will have all of the other things go into it, I suppose, for people using this big number, $1 billion of contracts, and that is across the country, not just in a certain
Well,
region.
that's across the United States.
Right.
And I
And
just put a link in the chat so that you can, hopefully people can just kind of like take a look at it and learn a little bit more. But really, Ascend Cities is the hub of,
where is
ascending.
that? Where is Ascend City?
Ascend City is really a national, so it's actually managed by the University of Washington,
Uh-huh.
and they are the one who oversees the Ascend City. So we have a contract with the University of Washington to work as part of the Ascend regional program
Okay. And
to contribute to that $1 million goal.
and how do you do that? I suppose the conference is for many of you to talk about how you are able to fulfill that contract as far as training and hiring. And what's the difference between that and See You Grow?
So there's two big differences within CU Grow. So within the CU Grow program, we're really working with firms that have been in business for at least 3 years, and they want to work with larger stakeholders. So that's where we have that component of the coaching aspect, where we're going to bring them together with the coach, and that coach is going to help and develop them so that they can grow to the next step in their business, right? So there's different firms from different levels. So that's really the aspect, and they follow a curriculum that they have to follow to just kind of like have a checkbox of like, do I have this in place? What do I need to do to get that in place? Okay, I'm the CEO of this company. I can't do everything. I have to delegate somebody. I have to bring in a consultant to do this. A lot of people, sometimes they don't have the basic need of a safety plan, something that is very important for a large GC to work with you. They want to make sure what are your safety protocols and things like that.
Mhm.
So those are the kind of like a little bit of an aspect of the CU Go program.
And
And
that's centered around construction, basically.
it is centered about construction. For the Ascend Regional Program, it is a little bit more on the building trades. So anything that is the composition of building a building, those
Right.
are the trades that we want to work with. So for the Ascend Regional Program, we built a very unique ecosystem. We've engaged with 10 opportunity partners, very large CM companies. So we've engaged with Gilbane, Skanska, Lend-Lease, Turner Construction, McKissick and McKissick. These are very large
Hmm.
construction companies that have onboarded onto the program and have agreed that they're going to funnel contract opportunities specifically to this group of people. And one of the goals from that is that all of the participants of the Ascend Regional Program, they have to go through the steps of pre-qualifying with
Hmm.
all of these CMs. And that's a lengthy process. That's not something that's very easy. It's not like a one-page application. So a lot of these participants are prepared to do that. There's a lot of documentations that you have to have, taxes, insurance that you have to provide to them. And in some cases, a lot of different instances. So they're at different levels, but they're all going towards the same goal, is to advance them to the next level of their revenues stream.
And how long does that process usually take?
It takes a long process, Tony. You would think that if you tell a business you have to do this step in order to have access to contract opportunities, you would think that that would be a very quick process. But unfortunately, it's not always the case. So we do have to really have to do a lot of kind of like massaging into making sure what are the things that they need, what are the things that they need to get to that point of pre-qualifying. Sometimes there's not an interest to pre-qualify with that specific opportunity partner. So you have to look at each participant case by case. It really varies a lot of the time. Some of the CMs are only union. So again, if you're not a union firm, it's really hard for you to.
And if you're not a union firm, is there ways that you can help them become if they
Yeah.
can qualify?
So we have actually partnered up with one of our partners at Skanska that they're going to do kind of like an introduction to them what are the things to do to be on a union. So those are all different things that we're looking at. If you're not a union, what are the things that you need to do? Bringing people from the union to talk to them so that they can have that opportunity. But
Mm-hmm.
again, it is a business decision for the business to take.
And as I guess guesstimate, what's the average time frame, if there is such a thing, that a business can go through, prepare what they need to prepare, even if they have some shortcomings, but having to get that together based on your observations? I think that See You Grow is a year, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
So the CU Girl program is actually 11 months.
Uh-huh.
And the Ascend Regional program, it's about the same. It's about 12 months
Mm-hmm.
or so that we're working with these firms. Even though we've been developing the program since March, we started engaging with the firms around September. So they were notified, like, you've been accepted to the program early into the fall of last year. Now we're coming towards the end of this fall.
And for those who are listening, why this is important is that City College, among others, but City College, Columbia University, well, City College too, but City College is a public institution, so it's a whole different set of rules and regulations, even though some of the issues are the same. Columbia University is going to be in construction for at least the next 10 to 20 years.
Yes.
So, one of the deals that were made with the community was that people like Tanya Pope and Charlene De La Cruz and their colleagues would develop programs that would allow for NWBE in particular organizations to be trained to understand what's necessary so that they can compete and get some of this generational money. Because if you get a business that gets in and does well, they have work for their grandchildren more than likely, because we're talking about a long time as far as all of the things that Columbia is planning to do in Harlem.
Yeah,
So
and a perfect example is Johnson Security. So they've been one of the security firms for the Manhattanville campus for over, I think, 10 years now,
mhm,
maybe 11 to 12 years to be exact. But they've been one of the security firms that that's been hired from different various CMs. As different projects are going,
uh-huh.
they're usually the ones that are, have been hired. So in the past. So that's something that, again, they've been doing that for 10 years. So there's more years to come for future projects.
And
Well,
Johnson's security has been in the community for a long period of time. Um, Charles Johnson, who's the late Charles Johnson, was an assembly person, but we've done a lot of things with Harlem Week with the Johnson family. They actually at one time was a security firm for the Harlem State Office building.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's the same Johnson group, and that's a good thing, though. One of the things that I'm glad you brought that up is because when we talk about construction, it could be an electrician, it can be a number of different business options that one might be involved in, if it's even supplying napkins. you know?
No, absolutely. It's that I feel like that's when it comes to, because sometimes I don't necessarily want to limit it to just construction firms because it's not just a general contractor. All the trades and services that it takes to make a building, I need you. I need the people that have to clean the building. I need the people that are going to supply materials for the building.
Laundry,
Yeah, so there's so many.
maintenance.
There is, the scope is so large that I don't want to limit it to just a general contractor because I need painters, I need insulation, I need drywall, I need masonry, I need a lot of different trades. So I never want to just limit it to general contractors.
And the reason why you can understand why this young lady is busy because if you want to develop a contract with Columbia University in some form or fashion, you're going to have to go through one of the programs that Charlene or Tanya Pope or the combination of both or the people who are there connected with are involved in. And that's really important because for a long period of time, no one knew what Columbia University was doing. No one knew uh, how to get into that line of work. And now you're seeing a person, and I hate to put that target on your back, but the bottom line is that you're seeing a person who, if you have a trade, if you have a business, and you would like to see whether or not you can upscale yourself in order to be a part of this 10, 20, maybe even 30-year structure. And it's always changing because all of the campuses, all of the dormitories, all of the things that are going on, not only the new ones, but the ones that are there have to also be serviced and replenished. And so it's like a city.
It is a mini city, and to make the, to preserve the city, it needs constant maintenance and repairs and renovations. So there are instances where we've had to, just we do a lot of refreshes in the summer. We have to repaint, we have to renovate and whatnot just to keep it again for the fall. So we have a lot of those projects going on now. And I will say that one of the things about the CU Go program, the incentive, it's again, the program, the CU Grow program specifically, it's a free program, and so is the Ascend Regional program, and so is the Ascend New York City program. However, for the CU Grow program, the incentive is if you are able to comply with all the materials that are required for the participants, and you present and you create a very structured 3-year growth plan, you will be submitted for consideration to be an approved vendor of the university. Now, when you go through that process, you still have to be vetted as a business. So I always let people know to make sure that there's no negative implications that we're going to find as we're going through the vetting process, because that's going to be something that we will have to reconsider. But in a lot of instances, I've had about 80 to 90% approval process with the graduates of the university. And what that means is that any project manager can source whoever attended the CU Go program, they be flagged. They will be in that system. So if they need a painter, all the painters are going to come up. If they need a GC, electrical, masonry, facade, any trades, and it's flagged, if you're a participant of the CU Grow, you go in with that badge. So they have a lot of choices in picking to pick from. So that's a huge incentive because Columbia University project managers are only allowed to work with approved vendors of the university. However, a GC, if they're hired, let's say you, Tony, you are a participant of this CU Grow program, you graduated, you're an approved vendor, and you got a contract, you can hire whoever you want to do, maybe if you want to sub out some of the work, you can do that. But the PM can only hire a person that is an approved vendor. So that's a big opportunity already. But what we're doing with our firms is that we're building intentionality with how they're connecting with people within the university. You're now in the system, so now what? So we're helping them how to introduce their services to very specific project managers or directors within that scope of work that they do. And we crafted something where they're building a relationship. Here, hi, my name is Charlene De La Cruz. I'm the CEO of GC Constructions. And here's my capability statement. Here's my presentation deck. And it's going to show you all the work that I've done, And I think that's the part that's missing for a lot of the firms, is that they don't have kind of like a representation of the work that they do. Sometimes they'll do the work, but there's no proof in the pudding of what the work that they did. Mm-hmm. Such an important aspect to take a photo of what the work looked before and what the work looks after you touched it, right? Because that's going to demonstrate the level of your work, the level of your commitment, the level of your quality. And that's something that we always tell our CU Grow participants.
Well, again, the opportunity to allow for people of color. And I know there has been controversy within WBEs as it relates to uh, blacks and Hispanics not being in the front of the MWBE selection pool. However, I do know that um, whether it's the MTA, which was the other major uh, MWBE employer, uh, DASNY, which was major next to Columbia, DASNY, and the MTA, they were, you guys were like, you know, head and head for the finish line as to who had the most.
And those are both partners of the Ascend Regional Program. So there are also both are an opportunity partner for the
Mm-hmm.
Ascend Regional Program. So it's again, it's building a collaborative partnership with people and just really being intentional about giving contracts out to those firms that are within that cohort.
And and for those who may, when we talk about minority women and business enterprises, one of the things that is not often talked about is the role that David Patterson played when he was the governor, because it was David Patterson who initiated a study to see how contracts were distributed. Everyone knew, but David actually created a program or a study to show and put into the face of people the fact that there were disparities between a large number of citizens who are black, Hispanic, minorities, and women who were not being serviced as far as contracts from the state. When Governor Cuomo was campaigning, he pledged that not only would he increase that number, but he would create a MWBE panel and do a number of things. And that's when a lot of us got involved in it. And it worked well. Every year there would be a new number. Adolph Roberts, before there was a lot of people who were involved. But still, there was this question as far as the black and Hispanic employers not being, or businesses not being able to deal with things. Now, I know um, MTA had a focus on that. I know DASNY has had a focus on that. How did Columbia address that issue?
So I would definitely say that Colombia addresses that issue aggressively. So any contract that is over $100,000 has to have a 35% goal for minority, women, and local-owned businesses. And when I tell you that we look at that very intentionally, every morning, Tanya and our team, we look at all the invoices that are coming through, and we review them. And if you're not a diverse business and you're not meeting that 35% goal, we want to know why. Um, and a lot of it's a very interesting conversation. Sometimes they say, I can't source this person. So one of the things that we have done, our department, is that we've crafted a 16 trade minority and women and local owned businesses list with probably average every tab has over 20 firms. So it's not for us demanding that you use these firms, but when you say you can't find them, that's
That's
not
not
an
true.
excuse because
And that
there's
has
really
always been the case. That has been the case. When I was at City College, that was one of the issues as it relates to finding people that, well, we would like to do that, but we can't find them, which is why when I created the cooperative education program or revitalized the cooperative education program, especially as it relates to information technology, because once information technology started to take off, many people wanted to learn. And so the college, City College at least, partnered with Columbia, developed a proposal, the Harlem Partnership Center, where Columbia University and City College came together to develop the Harlem Partnership Program to do exactly what you're saying. And much of what you're doing is an offspit of that, is to train those individuals so that these companies cannot say, well, we would hire people, but we can't find them. And that's what the See You Grow that's why these programs are very important, but also why people like you, even though I know you don't need that much more attention, people like you can be known so that there are people who can help you. What about, and I know that this is not necessarily your area of focus particularly, but what about the firms who would like to start a business? Uh, I'm good with my hands. I fix. I don't have a license, but I know how to work with electronic stuff. I have a cleaning business. I do stuff around for my friends. What about people like that? What is there anything that Columbia does to help those individuals start a business?
So we do have a huge partnership with Columbia University, the Small Business Development Center.
Hmm.
They actually have a program where they actually support businesses. So they look at different variety of different types of businesses that they need help with packaging or sourcing, and maybe some of them have actually been in partnership with supermarkets. So there are partnerships like that that we've actually collaborated, but it's not necessarily managed out of our department. It is managed by under the Columbia Business School.
Hmm.
And that's another thing that people can take a look at, because I know that they started a group for this year for 2022. But in terms of sourcing, that would be something that you could look. So I can share one of the resources so that you guys can take a look at, because I think it's again, it's about getting information and building on that. So you want to make sure that you're getting all the information that you can, because
Hmm.
the information is there. So that's why we collaborate with you, just so that we can share these information, so we can let people know this is happening. This is something that you can take a look into. But this is something that we've been doing for a few years now. We did take kind of like a break because of the pandemic, because that program specifically works with you in person. So we want
Yeah.
to be safe and we want to be mindful. And that's one of the reasons why they took a pause.
Charlene, I know that you have to go, but I was thinking, wouldn't it be interesting to have a tracer of a business that really got its business started coming through the business school, created a business that was able to qualify for a CU Grow type program and then become successful? Because when you go to the CU Grow program, yes, you can get a favorable look at Columbia. But if you graduate from that program, you can go any place you might want to go because you're ready.
No, absolutely. And I feel like, I mean, the Harlem Local Vendor Program is a whole different aspect of success, but I've seen so many different successes where people have created things out of their kitchen and they've learned the packaging and whatnot. And a lot of the times we put them and source them in our cafeterias, so the students have access to them. I know that there's like a delicious tres leches cake. They're in Harlem, and they're here in our Columbia cafeteria. It's addicting. I try not to have them because that is a dangerous cake to have, but it's absolutely delicious. And they came through the Harlem Local Vendor Program. There's also been partnership where they've been at Whole Foods for different types of variety of
Right.
business.
I think the
Um,
Harlem Park to Park group is also involved with helping with that program.
yeah. But again, it's, and then also like Tanya says, what you put into the program, that's what you're going to get out of it. So it's not because you've been admitted to the program that you automatically are going to be a success story. You actually have to do the work to get there.
Mhm.
Um, we are here to support you and bring you to that next level, but it's hard to support somebody that doesn't support themselves. You really have to really build upon your own growth, and we support you. So we put the pillars under you so that you don't fall over, but you have to do the work as well.
Well, again, for the listeners or viewers, Charlene De La Cruz is a person that, if you are looking to develop a business, especially in the construction arena, and you would like to see whether or not, or what you would need to do in order to be prepared for an opportunity to work at Columbia University, this young lady, uh, who you don't have too much gray, I've, yes, the stress level that you guys go through is so great. I, I've seen your the people that you were before you, but you've been able to, you know, maintain yourself in a way that I guess that's the new generation of understanding how to do things in a certain way. Like, come from a national conference to spend some time here on the show. And I'm going to let you go. I know that you will stay, but I don't want you, you know, I don't want you not to do what you have to do. And I appreciate
Well,
your
I enjoy having these conversations with you. And if there's any other resources, I did want to share one resource, and I don't know if maybe it could be added to the chat so people can kind of like log in. The Harlem Community Development Center, they're actually hosting a webinar on Google Analytics. And I thought that that would be something very interesting for people.
on what? Say that again. I
On
missed.
Google Analytics.
Uh huh.
So it's really adding an analytical aspect to your business website. So like that you can know like who's visiting your website, where they're coming from, and then you can kind of like engage them. It's a very intuitive tool that people can add on, and it's really it's through Google. So that's one source. I don't know if you
When
can
will
put
that be?
that will actually be on tomorrow at 10 a.m. So there are spaces available. It brings you right directly to their webinar registration page.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it's being provided by the Harlem Development Center. So if you can provide like a short link to that, that would be great. Or maybe put it in the chat.
Can you put
Um,
it in the chat so that it can come up?
yeah, and then the other one is actually another event that I thought would be very helpful for people is creating a business idea that works. So the New York City Small Business Services, they are providing a webinar, and it's a free webinar, and this helps you determine the type of market that your business will be able to solve. It's going to help you develop a framework. It's going to help you develop that value proposition and your business concept. So these are great resources and tools that you guys can access in the New York City Small Business Development Center. They always have different webinars.
And there are a number of free courses that you could sit in for Columbia at Columbia University. A number of courses that I wasn't even aware of until people indicated today. Hey, I sat into this law course and was able to
Yeah,
monitor.
I believe you can do that through our governance and community affairs. They really will partner you up with those access. So it depends on it has to be based on like I believe your local catchment
Mhm.
area, but they should be able to support you. So our government community affairs
Who's
department.
the director of community affairs now?
I will have to look that up, Tony.
You'll tell me the next time.
Yeah.
Charlene De La Cruz, thank you
Thank-
so much for taking time out of your really, really busy schedule. I mean, you're busy anyway, but you're one of the hosts of a national conference. So I
Yeah.
know what that means. And I appreciate you taking some time to let people know what's going on at Columbia and to give people some some direction as relates to how they might be involved in some of those things.
Yes, absolutely. So I can't wait to see you again next month. And thank you. Have a good show.
Okay, we'll see you in August.
Okay, bye.
Take care, Shirley. That was Charlene De La Cruz. And again, Columbia University uh, has many yings and yang connections to it. However, what you are seeing is one of the positive components as far as allowing for people to really be a part of this ongoing construction. As I said, it'll be about another 30 years of construction going on with dormitories and the like. So take advantage of it. Hopefully, you'll be able to um, connect with Tanya Pope or Charlene De La Cruz at Columbia University. At one point, we'll talk about some things with City College because they're doing a lot of development also. I have my next guest is a brother that I'm saying for the first time. We've been on emails and phone calls for a while. As many of you know, I've been going backwards and forwards to Senegal. And Robert called me once and says, "Hey, you guys are going to Senegal. Let's see whether I can go because I would like to take some photos." And then he sent me his bio. He's been taking photos all over the world, and I was impressed. And I said, "Look, Robert, I will help you coordinate a photo shoot for 10 days in Senegal. I think it's going to be in October." And he had a show that was going to start on Saturday, but there was some problems with the gallery. They had a flood or something like that. So it's being postponed to September. So you probably will see him again. But based on the work that I've seen that he has sent me, and we'll talk about this, I thought it would be interesting to have Robert Eilets on to just allow for people to see who he is, some of the things that he's done, and some of the things that he's going to do. How are you doing, Robert? Can you hear?
Whoa, listen to the feedback. I'm well.
Sound like one of those rap records or something. You got an echo. Some people try to do that on purpose. I don't think you did, though. But as I was saying, there are photographers and then there are photographers. And then there are photographers who are award-winning photographers based on the nature of their work. And I'm happy to say Robert is one of those. How are you doing, brother? Can you hear me?
I'm well despite the technical difficulties that we're currently experiencing, but I'm okay, Tony.
Well, it's good to see you. I mean, we've been talking for a while. It seems like I know you very well, but now I will know you if you walk past me in the street.
No question. No question.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Can't complain.
And I know that you had some mishaps with a show that you were planning.
Yes, a colleague and myself, we had been working on an exhibition that was scheduled to open on the 17th of July. We found out this weekend that there was a major flood in the gallery, which has led to us having to postpone, unfortunately. But as I had mentioned to you the other day, one of the bright sides in all of this is that we were scheduled to actually hang our work Wednesday. So the fact that the work was not in the gallery, nothing was lost. So that in itself is a blessing. But whatever you do, there are always going to be potential for setbacks. But again, I'm blessed.
Well, sometimes, or actually all of the time, things happen for a reason, and we might not want it to be how we see it to be, but in time we realize that if it hadn't happened that way, other things would probably not happen. So I'm sure that the time that you have now will allow for you to do things that you would probably never been able to
Absolutely.
do.
And as the saying goes, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, everything does. Tell us about your work, Robert. I was looking at your bio. You've been all around the world almost. Where are some of the most, I guess, memorable places that you visited to do photography or shoot?
I mean, every place has memorable moments, but if I had to certainly choose a location that was dearest to me, I would have to say it is Ethiopia.
Mm.
And it is because of the historic significance as to what Ethiopia represents, the people, the varied vistas that you certainly come across in visiting that country is, for me, is second to none.
And explain a little bit about that, because a lot of people, we started dealing with Senegal about a year ago, Soul City, and a number of people went on a fan trip there and brought back a lot of information that people just did not know about, whether there was beaches in Africa, all of those types of things. What are some of the things that you experienced in Ethiopia that allow for you to come to the conclusion that you have come to?
Well, I think to begin with is the historical profile. It is the only country in Africa that has never been colonized. There were attempts to colonize it, but the colonizers were certainly unsuccessful. And for me, it is the genuineness of the people. Incredible people, very, very gentle people, but people who have a mindset that is second to none when it comes to talk about what is required as far as nation building is concerned. The pandemic has set me back, as well as so many other people, in terms of my ability to travel. And although I certainly keep in close contact with friends, when I see the progress that has been made over the last 3 years, it is phenomenal. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day who was telling me about the structures that are going up, particularly in the major cities, and looking at photos, looking at different types of news vehicles. I can't believe the changes that have taken place. It's just been incredible. As I said before, every country has a certain uniqueness that you can certainly think of in terms of a degree of fondness. But for me, that is the place that has, literally captured my heart.
Robert, I know, for instance, Senegal was colonized by the French, so they speak French. Britain was with Ghana, so they speak English. If Ethiopia was not colonized, what's the national language?
Well, there are a host of different ethnic groups in Ethiopia. I guess you can say the principal language is Amharic, but obviously it is a country that has had its conflicts in the past as far as the ethnic differences, and it still is to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
But Amharic is the principal language. It is a country that has had the capacity to have the various religions in this world coexist in a very, very, friendly manner. Mm-hmm. So when you think in terms of Christianity, Ethiopia is really the mindset where Christianity developed in Africa, mm-hmm. as well as the religion of Islam. And there's never been any major conflicts in terms of differences amongst religions. So the people are pretty harmonious in terms of, how they get along and interface with one another.
How did you get into photography? You've won a number of awards, man. You've won national, international. How did you get into all of this?
I've always been pretty low keyed about it, and it is something that was an avocation for me. It was not my major profession. My background is in finance, but
your background as a scientist, did you say?
No, finance.
Finance, okay.
Yeah. I have always had a passion for photography, and I think what instilled it in me is that when I was very young, there were a group of young men in Harlem who I guess you can say were the pioneers of the whole movement to create the sayism of Black is beautiful.
Mm.
And when I saw the type of work that they were doing, and I was certainly influenced by all that they had done and make people aware of the beauty of terms of being of Blackness, that kind of instilled me as far as, wanting to get involved with photography is concerned. I was very, very young, but mine really was a calling. As I progressed in using the camera, I had some opportunities that don't happen very often to many people. And I had a chance. I had a chance back in the 90s to go to Senegal. That was my first trip to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just literally blown away because it was just a kaleidoscope of colors. And what I saw influenced me to the point where, with the exception of the pandemic, from the mid-90s, I had been going to Africa every year, sometimes 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fortunate in terms of meeting people who were involved in either tourism or NGOs, which are, as I'm sure you know, non-governmental organizations who were doing
Mm-hmm.
very different types of work. Had an opportunity to do work for them, and doing work for them also allowed me to certainly become known amongst different political structures throughout the continent.
Mm-hmm.
And quite honestly, there weren't too many people that looked like us that had the opportunity to do what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, I, certainly was rewarded in, having these opportunities to travel and meeting a lot of people. And I mean, that's basically the story of my photographic existence.
When did you really realize that, hey, I'm good at this? This could be something that I can do as a professional?
About 6 months ago. No, seriously.
Seriously?
You know what it is. For me, it's a question as to how you see things. And I was blessed with having an eye, and I recognize that the opportunities that had befallen me, it was a calling. These things just didn't happen by chance.
Of course, all
there was
things
nothing
happen
in my
for a
mind about
reason.
that,
Right?
because it was just a continuation of opportunities, and being placed in situations where sometimes I would sit back and say, this camera has literally taken me all over the world. And, being able to expand my existence, not only in Africa, but in Asia. I mean, literally everywhere in the world, South America, these opportunities presented themselves. So there's no question in my mind that this is a calling, and there's not a day that goes by that I don't feel blessed in the opportunities that I've had.
And I know, and I appreciate your being humble and not bragging or anything like that, but what are some of the awards that you've received, and for what?
Oh, man. I had the opportunity to do some work for the State Department for the visit of Nelson Mandela when he visited the United States.
I remember, I saw that.
Yeah, I worked with a number of different African governments in promoting tourism in various countries throughout the continent. Not only the continent, but Caribbean, South America. The awards, gosh, I don't really like to talk about it too much.
I know I'm putting you on the spot, brother, but you got a show coming up. I want people to know where they're going to go and see some of the things. Actually, whenever I talk to people about you, when I send stuff to the Senegal, what I do is send them your bio, but I send them some of your pictures because your pictures speak for themselves. You do have an eye.
Yeah, well, yeah, as I said before, it's a blessing, but in addition to that, I've had the opportunity to be mentored by a number of photographers right here in New York who have been a tremendous influence in my life.
Who are some of them?
Oh man, Chester Higgins,
Oh, okay.
Mel Roddick. I mean, these to me, these are giants.
Right.
You know, and I'll never forget. I had mentioned to Chester many years ago how he had influenced me in terms as to what I do, and he said to me, "If that be the case, then how you pay me back is doing the same thing for others." And I never forgot that. You know, so that has always
Play
stayed
it forward. Yeah, each one teach one.
It is a creed that I try to live by.
Right. And it's a good one. I've had similar experiences myself with people who I've helped, and they in turn suggested that, well, you know, play it forward. It helps some others. Where do you see your work going? What would you like to see, let's say, in 2023? What would you like to do?
Well, that's an interesting question. One of the things that I realize is that as you evolve, as you mature, as you get older, you would hope that you leave a legacy that can be passed on. I mean, there's so many incredible photographers that do wonderful work, but you've got to think in terms as to how you can certainly make a difference in terms of allowing this body of work to continue.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm no longer here, you know, I would hope that I could be in a position to certainly make this available to an institution, to certainly have people view, learn from, and realize the importance, particularly we as people of color, as to who we are and what we represent. That's what I think about at this particular point in my life.
And I can, you know, could you give the listeners I'm used to doing radio, so I'm used to saying listeners, but now the viewers and listeners, your website where people can see, or your Instagram?
That's a great question, because, you know, I have to look it up myself. You know, but my website is www.robt1126smugmug.com. That's smugmug.com.
Say that again.
Okay. www.robt1126smugmug.com.
Where did the smug mug come from? Or can you say that on the air?
No. Yeah, it's a site that allows you to certainly feature your work, and it is very broad in terms of the capacity of what you want to display. Mm-hmm. That's probably the best way that I can explain it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've had other websites, but this one certainly, you know, allows me to be able to display my work, and very easy in terms of, you know, people being able to access it. Mm-hmm. It's pretty good.
Well, brother, I'm happy that our orbits have overlapped each other. We've been talking for a while. I'm looking forward to your photo trip in Senegal. I'm sure that will be helpful to allow for people to know what we've been trying to do, is awakening the sleeping giant, letting people know and see that of all of the differences, we have more in common than we think that we do.
No question. No question.
And that's the work. If you can look at Robert's site, you'll see that you've captured a certain, you know, it's an energy that's past photography. It comes, you know, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, but to be able to capture images the way you have is very, very. You have a calling, and I'm glad.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to hear you say that. And for me, it's a passion. And I think for
Well, that
anyone,
comes true. Yeah,
yeah, for anyone who has the ability to do something that they love and becomes such a vital part in terms as to who they are, you can't ask for more than that. I mean, really.
Well,
So
that's
I don't want to mean to be redundant, but there's no question that I recognize the fact that I'm blessed.
yeah. We all are blessed, but sometimes we don't recognize it.
Yeah.
So to be able to be recognized of the blessings that you have
No
is
question.
a wonderful thing.
No question.
Robert, thank you so much. We're going to have you back once the show starts because I'm sure that we'll have a lot of people wanting to see that. We'll be working together too, probably because once the show starts, actually, you'll be leaving for Senegal for the photo in October. So that'll be a good time to have you back just to kind of talk about the show and talk about some of the things that'll be going on. And we'll show some of your work when you come back. I'm sure you'll lend the Harlem Tourism Boards some of your prints so that we can post them up on our site.
I'm certainly excited about the prospects of being able to do so, and Senegal is a very, very special destination. So,
right. Were you able to see the monument, the Renaissance monument?
I have.
Yeah. When you get a chance, a night photo of that. I took one with my little,
No, I've seen what you've done. As a matter of fact, you've got me jealous.
Well, coming from you, that's more than a compliment, my brother. No. And actually, the Harlem Tourism Board is having a mixer next Saturday at a wonderful art gallery that has a focus on African art. I'll send you an invite if you're available. I'd love to have you.
I'd like that very much.
All right, then.
I'm always available for you.
Well, thank you, my brother. You got to be careful when you say those things. You're in public. I can say you said that on TV on national television. What do you mean you can't do this?
I'm being prompted by my lawyer. He's sitting behind me.
Thank you for taking some time out.
Thank you, Tony. And I'm sorry we had these technical difficulties, but
it all works out to be best. I've been able to see you now. I know you. We'll be working together, and they'll see you again too. So that was just practice.
Looking forward to it, and thank you so much for this opportunity.
It's always a pleasure. We'll be in contact with you. We'll start to promote you. Hopefully, you can come out on next Saturday.
I look forward to it.
Take care, my brother.
Be well.
All right.
All right.
Again, for those of you, Matt McCoy and Soul City, thank you for allowing for us to be on today with Robert Eilets and Charlene De La Cruz. We'll be back next week. We're getting close to Harlem Week. Harlem Week starts this year. It's all in August the 12th to the 21st. So we'll be talking a lot about what's coming up there and some of the other things that are going on into the area. I mentioned before, the Harlem Tourism Board will have a mixer next week. This coming Saturday, and what we'll do, I'll talk with Matt maybe in some of the other shows that are coming up between now and Saturday. Maybe we can put something up, or you can always send an email to harlemtourismboard@gmail.com or go to goharlem.org to get information about the mixer that we'll have. That will be in Harlem. Matter of fact, as home to Harlem, the largest art gallery for West African art in Harlem, and that will be this Saturday. So please come out, say hello, And we will see you next week, God willing. Take care and have a good day. Bye.
This is Kier Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
Urbanology.